Hello friends, I'm Brian, and this is Gizmo Board Games. And today I'm coming at you really late in comparison to everybody else, but I got a little bit behind on my schedule and wanted to make sure the things I wanted done on time, namely my top 50 videos and my look back at last year's stuff, came out, in January and February at the very latest. So here I am, not in January, February, with my most anticipated games of 2025 list. But that's fine because I haven't watched, I think I watched one other video of anticipated games. So I wanted to try to keep myself out of everybody else's heads and do this on my own. And B, this is kind of a weird year for me. I'm not super highly anticipating a lot of games off the rip. I'm sure as we get later in the year and, Essen previews come out, and I'm going to get ramped up for some of those games. But right now, they're probably not even on the radar. But I did go through Board Game Geek and looking at expected games from 2025 based on, their published year filter. And also I checked out some of my, favorite publishers and designers to see if they had anything that was listed as coming soon or, in production, et cetera, to try to get some ideas. But nothing super high. Like last year was definitely a more highly anticipated year for me. And it was a good year for gaming from what everybody said and heard from the games that came out in 2024. A lot of highly acclaimed games on a lot of people's lists. So maybe the anticipation for last year was correct, and this year maybe might be a slightly more down year. We'll have to see as the year plays out. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bring my 10 most anticipated games from 2025. But first, let's go ahead and look back at my list from last year. And I'm going to glance over here because that's where my notes are. So if I'm looking off to the side, that's why. But last year, obviously, I had 10 anticipated games. And let me look at 1, 2, 3 I've played now. One I had played coming into that year, that list. Inventors of the South Tigris, I had played in the kind of the pre-build-up. I play tested it a little bit with a buddy to gauge my interest in ordering it. I've ordered it. I have the copy behind me somewhere over there. I just haven't played the physical copy of it just yet. But that was Inventors of the South Tigris. It was a really good game on TTS, and I look forward to playing it for real on the table. The other two games on my highly anticipated list, I just played last month, so check out my top 6 new-to-me games from last month to see where House of Fado and Tiny Epic Game of Thrones fell and my early thoughts on them. And then there were 7 other games that I had on my anticipated list. Flow being one of them. I thought I was going to pre-order. I was really excited about it for a couple of years building up to it. But the more I learned about it, the more I felt like it might not be the style of game for me. It seemed more story-driven than what I like. And I don't know, I kind of cooled on it. I'm still interested in playing it for sure, but I wasn't interested enough to pull the trigger on pre-ordering it from Kickstarter. I'm not even sure if it's delivering yet. So it might even have creeped over into a 2025 game. But that was Flow by, I forget who did that one now. Darn. It's on the tip of my tongue. So another one was Monty Python and the Holy Grail, kind of filled in at the back of the list. I just have been a Monty Python fan, and I heard about the game and said, sure, let me throw that on there. I no real intention of, I'll check it out for sure, but I wasn't going to buy it or anything. I haven't heard rave reviews about it, but that was one of those that sounds interesting games, and you'll see that again in my number 10 for this year. The Heat expansion, there's actually another expansion coming out this year. I haven't even played last year's Heat expansion, the Wet and Wild or whatever it's called. I'm looking forward to both. The new one coming out isn't on this list just because I still haven't played the last one. I still really do like Heat. Check out where it falls in my top 50 favorite games of all time. It is there. I don't remember exactly where, but go see all 3 videos and see where it is. Windmill Valley, I've heard good things about, but I haven't checked that one out yet. Raas, A Dance of Love, and actually that one and the number 2 from last year are both actually going to reappear on this year's list because they've been pushed a little bit. And then finally, still my most anticipated game from 2024. I still haven't got my hands on it. Civolution by Stefan Feld. I've heard lots of great things about it. It does seem to be a long game, a little complex game, so I don't know how easy it'll be to play once I get my hands on it. But I am excited to play that one still. Still a highly anticipated game for me that I can't wait to find somebody who has it or get my hands on my own copy to play. All right, so that was last year. I played 3, had 7, kind of still in limbo. Probably 3 of which I'm still excited for. 4 or 5 maybe I'm still excited for. And as I mentioned, a couple of them are going to carry over to this list. We'll see where they fall here as I start with my number 10. Anticipated game is The Cats of Mont Saint Michel. I don't know anything about this game really, other than it's a cats kind of Euro-style game based on the 1600s, I believe. Mount Saint Michel, an island, basically an island fortress castle in France, off the coast. And I've been there, and it's a really unique place. It's just a hill that's all built up into this small town, topped off with a castle. It overlooks the ocean one way, or I think it's the Northern Sea, and then into France the other way, obviously into the mainland. Just a unique place. If you get a chance to check it out, I highly advise it. And that's mainly the reason why this one's on my list, just because I've been there, and it sounds like a unique, I like sometimes getting these souvenir style games, and this seems like one of them that I just kind of want because I've been there, and the game seemed unique enough from just flipping through it real quick on Board Game Geek, checking out the pictures and stuff. My number 9 anticipated game is Keyside. Keyflower is one of my favorite games, and Keyside is kind of another one of these key games. I haven't played any of the other ones other than Keyflower, but there's another one coming out. It looks almost the same as far as the box goes, the image on the box. So Keyside, I'm interested in checking this one out. And again, another one I don't know a whole lot about other than, oh, hey, that's coming out. My number 8 most anticipated game, I threw on here LAIRS. It's a kids table board game, plays 1 to 2 players, where I think you're just building up your own little dungeon areas, and then you're going to take turns, if I'm not mistaken, playing through the other person's dungeon, and then you're scoring points based off of both of those activities, is the best of my understanding. I really like kid table board games. I really would like to get my hands on some more of their stuff to play with my family. They're always that on that level where they're kind of kid games, but they're also complex enough for adults to play too. And I really like how they've straddled that line with a couple of games of theirs I have tried. So looking forward to at least learning more about LAIRS as it gets closer to release. A game I've pre-ordered already, as I have every other game in the Stefan Feld Queen Cities collection. Chichen Itza is a re-implementation of Strasbourg, I believe. No, it's not. That's the other one. That's Valencia. This one's actually a new game, like Marrakesh was a new Stefan Feld game. And this game is kind of a dudes on a map game. And I'm getting into those a little bit more. Like Small World, I've enjoyed a lot more than I have recently. Tiny Epic Game of Thrones, which I've played recently, is another one, dudes on the map, where you're doing not dice rolling like in Risk, but you're managing your abilities in the cards or whatever it is to kind of take over the lands. And I think this is what this is. And if it's Stefan Feld, there's going to be various other ways to score points and do things. It's not just going to be taking over the dudes on the map. And that's the one thing I'm really looking forward to in my little bit of understanding of how this game plays. It's going to be a point salad of dudes on a map. And I'm looking forward to Chichen Itza. Number 6 game is a game I almost tried out. Timing didn't work. I guess I could still try it out. I'm sure it's still on Tabletop Simulator, but Garfield Games isn't looking for feedback on it anymore. It's actually on the way to backers, I believe, soon. It's Skara Brae. The campaign closed out late last year, I believe. So it should be shipping soon if it hasn't already. I didn't back this one. I'll probably pick it up at some point, perhaps, for not the main Garfield collection, but whatever they call their secondary one, where they do more historical event things. in the realm of like Ezra and Nehemiah and now I'm drawing a blank. Legacy of You and those types. But Skara Brae, Garfield game about collecting resources and building things up. And I like the concept of it. Wasn't able to pull the trigger at the time. And my interest wasn't high enough to make me overcome the fact that I probably shouldn't pull the trigger, so I didn't. But I probably will pick it up and check it out at some point, Skara Brae. Number 5 anticipated game is another one I am backing. It is Baghdad, City of Peace. Who did this one? I don't remember offhand, but it looks really interesting. You're going around and basically taking quadrant of actions to help build Baghdad, and build the Temple of Baghdad. Build things in the city and build, I believe, the temple. And it's kind of another one of those action selection point salad-y type games from the looks of it. It looked really intriguing, interesting, so I went ahead and pulled the trigger on backing this one and look forward to it coming later in the year. A game I recently heard about, actually, I don't even think it was on BGG, or at least I couldn't search for it very well. But Legendary Game of Thrones, I mentioned earlier in this video and last year, I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. I'm looking forward to this Legendary game. I really like Legendary Marvel. I don't like that intellectual property. I don't care about Marvel. I've watched 70% of the movies, none of the TV shows. It's a thing that exists. I'm aware of how popular it is, but that's about it for me. Game of Thrones I am interested in, and the thing about this game is the other Legendaries are cooperatives, and apparently this one is a competitive deck building game. So I'm interested in learning more about how that's going to work as well in that Game of Thrones realm, so it does make sense for it to be competitive and not cooperative. Looking forward to Legendary Game of Thrones. My number 3 was number 3 last year. It is Raas, A Dance of Love, a little dice collecting manipulation of dancers on the board game. As far as I know, it's been a long time since I've learned about this one. I was supposed to do a trial with Mahir Shah, the designer, who's in one of our Discords, or he was. I haven't seen him in a while in there. But we never worked it out to get a little hands-on with it. But I'm still looking forward to it. A highly anticipated game that I guess just got pushed a year again. I haven't heard much about it recently. Hopefully it hasn't fallen completely off. I don't think so, because I think who's doing Arcane Wonders might be publishing it. So I think it should be definitely coming out soon. I'm not sure in what format, whether it's going to hit the Kickstarters or if it's going to come straight to retail. My number 2 this year was also number 2 last year. It's a Civilization tableau or card least management game from Karma Games. It is Millennia, a game I backed way back in 2023. Should be shipping in a couple months with my number 1, Clans of Caledonia, Industria, also from Karma Games, shipping together with Millennia. And so Millennia, again, my number 2 tableau builder Civilization game. Super excited to check that one out. As you go through the eras, your cards only last so long, just like eras of Civilization do. So you got to manage the timing of them and make sure you have more cards ready to go for when cards fall off. That's a neat little concept there. And then my number 1, Clans of Caledonia, Industria. Clans of Caledonia is one of my favorite games since I got it way back when it first released at Essen 2017. And I've had it since then, played it quite a bit. Good economic game. And the Industria version I've been excited for because it adds the solo Atoma deck, so I can pretend like I'm playing other people when I'm not. And it adds a whole new train shipping board to manage as well, to give you just all the more options for your limited money and action space. And more options of things to do with your goods, so you got more reason to get the goods. Because sometimes in the base game, like, there are certain goods you don't necessarily need because you're just ignoring those contracts and you're not really using them for anything else. And I feel like this secondary board will give you more uses for the things you might not have otherwise had uses for. So I'm excited to see what comes in this box of goodness. It's going to be a bigger box because I know that's one of the gripes about Clans of Caledonia. It's a lot in a little box. And now with the expansion, they definitely need to expand the box. So I'm excited for that. That's why it's my number 1 most anticipated game. And how many of these games am I guaranteed to have by some points, maybe not by this time next year when I do this list again, but at some point to play before too long. 1, 2, 3, 4 for sure I have my hands on, and then 5, 6, at least 6 total of these I'm planning on getting, and 4 of them I know for sure I'm getting. So that's not bad considering. So I am anticipating a good amount of games. Looking forward to getting my hands on some of these very soon, and others maybe not as soon, but still should be this year. So that's my list. Those are my 10 anticipated games for 2025. And now I can start watching back some of those other videos from other people and see, oh wow, I didn't even think about that game or didn't know about it, and maybe do an addendum list or something. I don't know. But anyway, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Comment below for sure what you're anticipating this year, what you've already ordered, what you're getting your hands on. Maybe something you were anticipating has already arrived, and now you're playing it. And, of course, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so that way you can come back and see more of my videos, top 10 list, general board game chatter, reviews, etc., etc. I appreciate you being here, and I'll catch you next time.